Thank you, guys. All right, we are back, aren't we? As we come together, I read to you, as I usually do, these emails and letters that we get from people from around the world, around the country. We are around the world because we're on the internet, streaming 24 hours a day, and we're live streaming every Sunday morning at 11, Sunday night, Wednesday night at 7, if you're tuning in for the first time. And we also have several hundred messages on the internet, and it's on the archived messages. You can go in there and listen to any number and watch them. There are videos. And then we're on TV in about 200 different towns and cities across America. And we get these emails from people and letters. Rose Bassa writes to us. She is lives on a military base in Germany. My name is Rose Bassa. Please add me to your mailing list. In addition, please send me DVDs about predestination. I live on a military base in Germany. Rose Bassa, and she gives her address. Evidently, she watched us on the internet. And then Ron Meyer, I guess it's Mayer. It looks like Mayer, but it's spelled the same way our Ron spells his. He pronounces his Meyer. No, his is M-E-Y-E-R. This is M-A-Y-E-R, so I guess that's Mayer. Howdy to everyone at Grace and Truth. Thanks for all y'all do. Please keep me on the list of current DVDs. Also, if you would please send message 1989 and related messages if possible. Again, thank you all so much. Ron Meyer, Mayor, Sewanna, North Carolina. All righty. And then here's an email from Chris Jennings in Greensboro, Australia. Yeah, they watch us on the internet there. Dear Grace and Truth Ministries, peace in Jesus. The DVD I received more than answered my question. Thank you. I understand that there was an element of confusion to my question, but Mr. Brown handled it soundly. Actually, I was not expecting him to read out as much as he did, intended as it was mostly for personal edification, though of course he was unmoved by any temptation to boast. Perhaps it will be for him to do so in heaven. No, only Jesus can do that. As I listened, I realized that there is in fact a great catalog of DVDs available. Further searching these, however, proved difficult. I wanted to find a sermon on water predominantly, and there was one in relation to baptism. We got a whole bunch baptismal message. But there was in the context of an act of faith rather than as an article of faith, as the sermon on salt was. Does Jim deal with water as an article of faith, with all that cool talk of electrons and protons and so on? Well, you get into living water and you get into literal water. Living water was moving water to the first century mind. And Jesus said that the true living water was the Holy Spirit, or the truth. And then we get into no water baptism and no drinking grape juice and eating crackers. We don't believe in any of that. And he goes on to say, I feel as though there's definitely a sermon in there, perhaps even for oxygen and blood also, since to my imagination Christ took the place of oxygen on the cross between water on his right and blood on his left, in a manner of speaking. The sermon on salt really got me thinking this way, since I felt my faith being strengthened incredibly by his words in it. Also, not to sound offended, but Jim was right that I have been deeply confused. If you could say a prayer about that, I think it would help. I've been burdened with tremendous amounts of oppression and have not always responded in a godly way, coming close, I must say, to out-and-out insanity. This is not meant to scare you. Well, I've been crazy too, so don't feel alone. When I was younger, I was out of my mind. I'm just telling you that's how bad it got, and I know Jim has the fire to cut through that. I won't say any more so as not to weary you with questions and requests, although, as you must imagine, your church stirs a lot of curiosity. Keep striving on in the faith. Yours sincerely, Chris Jennings, B.A., Greensboro, Australia. I don't know if that means Bachelor of Arts or what. I don't know. Again, sorry if my previous letters annoyed you. It don't annoy me. I just get real blunt sometimes. I admit I was itching for something that I now see was sinful. It is the work of God to believe whom he has sent. Whoever that is, having sent the examiner. I don't even remember his letter. I remember something. It behooves us to examine ourselves if we have the mystery of Christ within us, which I must admit at the last time of writing I was fighting with. Peace in Jesus. We love you, brother. Keep on watching. I'm not mad at people. I'm just get blunt with them. If you ever think I'm mad at you, I'm not. I don't get mad anymore. I just say it. Blunt words. Anthony Unger writes from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Evidently watches us up there. Brother Jim, what a gift you have and calling he has given you. I am very humbled. With great respect and honor, I ask what books or software do you recommend for me to obtain to learn the proper translations of the Hebrew and the Greek? I too desire greatly to teach the Word of God in truth. I have come out of being a Satan worshiper when I was a teen, as I and my twin brother were sexually forced to do stuff to my 14-year-old babysitter when I was only 7. So I rebelled against my parents, who called themselves Christians and their God, but that's all in the old nature, and I have forgiven her. As such, I studied demonology and other wicked books. Then when I started from that lifestyle and had a revelation of God, my life changed greatly. I then wanted to be a disciple and cast out demons, as I had interpreted the English scriptures to do so. Now from your ministry, I know better. Wow, what a waste of time I had squandered away. Well, hadn't we all? But it's not a waste of time. It's where God made us go, because that's what we have to do to become who we are. Yet by his calling, here I am. I had been affiliated with Bob Larson. Oh, goodness. Lordy mercy. I don't mean to offend you, but he's nuts. Just a whack-o. I mean, that's all I got to say about Bob Larson. He's always casting out demons. You ever seen him on TV and he'll go out there and there's someone out there with a demon. Somebody will go, oh, you're the one. Oh, ha, 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 oh, ha. And he'd get out there and he'd carry on and holler like fools. And even the ministry in my home city called Promised Land Ministries, they solely focused on casting out demons. I too worked with them. Of course, you cast out demons when the Word of God is written in your heart. It's that self going out. Now I realize that I say something that real quick, and people say, oh, is that all there is to it? I do an entire series just on the statement I just said. Now I realize that there were imagination of the carnal realm. Brother, you would bless me greatly if you can point me in the direction for me to further the calling Father has placed on my life. By his sovereignty, I have crossed your path, and I know cannot let you go. I look forward to corresponding with you. I live in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, so I'm unable to come and see you in person. Brother, whatever you can do to assist me will be a credit to your eternal account. From a brother who has been drawn in by his great grace and the true fellowship of believers, I too seek the high calling in Christ. Blessings. Anthony Unger in Canada. Well, I have a suggested book list, but I've brought it out too large. You need a good set of encyclopedias. Something like the Hastings, or particularly these McClintock and Strong Encyclopedia of Biblical, Ecclesiastical, Theological Literature. Good set of encyclopedias. You need a set of books by Mr. Edersheim, Alfred Edersheim. He's got 4 books: Life and Time of Jesus and Messiah, Sketches of Jewish Social Life, History of Israel, and the Temple Ministry and Services. And you need a set of commentaries. You can get a nice set by Matthew Poole. He was a Puritan writer, reformer, and so encyclopedias, Alfred Edersheim books. He's a good start with. And what did I say? Alfred Edersheim, encyclopedias, and set of commentaries. Matthew Poole would be good. It's a 3-volume set. That's cheap. And you need an interlinear Bible, and then get Mr. Green's and J.P. Green, and get a parsing guide or an analytical lexion to go with it. there's about 6 or 7 items you could get, and there'll be excellent study materials from now on. You'll never exhaust one of these sets of encyclopedias. But I've got all kinds of encyclopedias because one man will miss something that another one says. Hastings approaches a lot of things completely different than the McClintock and Strong, and vice versa. So if you can get both of them, the Hastings is a 13-volume set, McClintock and Strong is a 12-volume set. That's a good thing to start with. One other book, I suggest Lightfoot's Light from the Ancient East. I mean, not Lightfoot, Deisman's Light from the Ancient East. That Mr. Edersheim will give you Jewish culture and customs. Mr. Deisman will give you Greek culture and customs. They lived in a world ruled by Romans with Greek culture, and the Jews lived there with their culture. So anything with the cultures of those people, that's what you need. Let me see here. Got some more emails. I got, I'll read that Sunday. That's funny. I don't read that just to y'all. All right. John Newell writes to us. He says, hello all at Grace and Truth. Hope you continue in the well way. I thank God for 3 things. No, for everything. He says everything. I just thought I'd pick on John. He deserves it. You deserve it, John. Thank God for everything. We had fellowship Tuesday night, 5 souls present, including Tony, Lawrence, Sergio, and Dave. We started with 2 Corinthians 4 and just took off from there, talking about how simple the truth is, and all you got to do is speak it. Mainly just talked truth and had a good time with each other. God willing, we will continue in this way. Grace and peace to you all. Agape John. And then he gives us Revelation 12:10 and 11. And got an email from John Williams. It's something about, found this in the news, truenews.com. A lot of interesting information daily. This is about Devil's Broadcasting. The Crouches, Jim will find interesting, and they've got them here on Family Battle Offers, Look Inside Lavish TV Ministry, and they got their theme park, their Holy Land experience down in Orlando, Florida. I didn't know God had an entertaining theme park. I don't think Jesus ever did that. You know, Jesus said, thou shalt go found thee a theme park in thy city and make millions of dollars when thou art old and gray, just before I cast thee into hell. Okay. And he goes through all this. Their stuff, that big lawsuit their daughter-in-law's making against them. They are clowns. They belong in a circus. I don't know why God don't put them there. He'd probably put them in hell one day, imagine. I don't believe they're believers any more than I believe Adolf Hitler was a believer. In fact, I'd rather be Adolf Hitler than be them. Because, you know, we knew who Adolf Hitler was. People don't know who they are, and they're dragging more people into hell than he did. Of course, they're doing it because they're ordained to go there. Got several several snail mails, letters from people. Michael Nietzsche writes to us, sent us a letter here. Says he's in North Carolina. He says, dear Pastor, please send enclosed with tithe. Thank you, and keep me on the tape list. Michael Nietzsche. Explain to me Hebrews 6. I love to do that. I love that chapter, leaving the principles of the doctrine of faith, let us go into perfection. If we don't go into perfection, we end up falling away and putting Christ to an open shame, crucifying the Son of God afresh. I love that chapter because it's just one of my favorite chapters. That's the chapter when I sat down with the Church of Christ professor at David Lipscomb. He said, I want to ask you one question. I said, you want to know about Hebrews 6 chapter? He said, well, yeah, how'd you know? I said, all Church of Christ want to know what that means. Jim, thank you. This is from Mark Copeland. Thank you for the CDs. If possible, can I get the 70-week series? Don't think we give out CDs. People mean DVDs because my messages won't fit on a CD. Thanks, Mark. Some people hear me read that and say, oh, I want some CDs too. If they ever get them long enough, we'll put them on there. Frank Nicolosi up in Wilmington, Mass. Dear Jim, enclosed my tithe and offering. Please send something on the Eyes of the Lord series with my next package of DVDs. Agape, Frank Nicolosi. We love you, Frank. Come down and see us. We're waiting for you, okay? We're going to hold our breath till you get here. Hurry, Frank. Yeah. All right. Sally Haynes writes to us in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Broken Arrow is right outside of Tulsa. I know where Broken Bow is. My father pastored the church there. I know where Broken Arrow is. I've been there. Dear Jim, Marian Church, thank you, Jim, for your obedience to God in preaching the true word of God to the sheep. I have learned so much in the past 17 months from listening to you. Thank you again. The same reason I did not receive DVDs gives the numbers. If possible, please can you send them to me? Thank you so much. Enclosed is my tithe for May. Use as you see fit. Sally Haynes, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Yes. My most adventurous life was in Broken Bow. One of the great adventures of my life where my father got in a fist fight with his deacons. Huh? My father got in a fist fight with his deacons, yeah.
You saw it all?
Yes, I saw it all. It was funny. I mean, he come around the building and hit us out of the building with a 2x4 and said, oh, that blankety blank John Bell, I'll kill him. Got up on the steps, and then an old deacon got up there with him, and then John Bell come around, and my father come off the step and punched him, and he started punching. My older brother was about 17, went over there and started punching it out. Then a bunch of other guys come in. It looked like an old Gene Autry, Roy Rogers movie. Pow, 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 over on top of a car, and I told you my father was crazy, and then somebody called the sheriff from Idabel, Oklahoma, and he come over and arrested my father and all the other people and my brother and took him and booked him in Idabel, and we come home and we loaded up a truck and moved to Beaumont, Texas, and then we started some more adventures. What? My father was insane.
Where was you two?
And I'm a little skinny little 14-year-old kid over looking at, scared to death. I mean, they're crazy. Oh, good grief. And then we got to Beaumont, and my father told one deacon, you sit down, I'll come out there and whip your blankety blank so-and-so in the church. When the guy stood up and said, Brother Brown, I thought we were supposed to love our neighbor. And Daddy said he's going to come whip him my father was nuts. And people say, you have something against your father in the past, and that's what's wrong with you. That's why you're so angry. My father was crazy, don't you get it? He was always getting in fist fights and we lived in a duplex, and the guy next door in the duplex next door got drunk, started beating his wife. My father got a hammer, and when I turned and started banging on his door, he's going to hit him in the head. I can tell you about my father pulling guns on people and shooting at their feet. And it's funny now. I was terrified back then. I was a little skinny kid wanting to love Jesus with all my heart. Then my family thinks I'm just like him because I'm his son. And I'm going, but I'm not like him. I love Jesus,
I bet you make straight A's.
I'll tell you what, my father will make you think. I can tell you stories that you wouldn't believe. Mary can tell you. Oh, man, one after the other. My brother-in-law told me, people say, you got something against your father. A man that'll do these things is just totally out of his mind. Isn't he? My brother-in-law, we'd get together in the family and we'd exchange stories. Because every day it's 4 or 5 fights a day. Arguments, fusses, cuss fights. And my brother-in-law, who's real gentle, quiet, about 6'4" guy, said, Jimmy, we were over at the Sears one day, and your daddy was waiting for a woman to back out, and when she backed out, he's going to pull in, and he's sitting there for a while waiting, and another woman pulled in real quick. You don't do that to my father. She said he reached over in the glove compartment, pulled out a 38 police special, went over there in the front of the car and was screaming, "This is my parking place." Now that is crazy, isn't it? And I'll tell you what it made me do. By the time I was about 21 or 22, I began to realize I had to think for myself. Because he had so controlled us, had his thumb on us, squashing us, I didn't think I had sense enough to do anything. And when I started thinking for myself, I came out of that shell. And I made me really think the way I think today. I think very analytical about everything I do. And I analyze even commercials on TV. And you put you in that frame of mind when you hear somebody lie to you all your life. And he was an independent Baptist preacher. And if you've ever been around country independent Baptist preachers, they think they have a right to cuss, fight, do anything. Rule with an iron hand. And being around him was like being around an electrical ball in the air that put out all these, like something out of one of these science fiction movies. When he drove it in the driveway, it's like this electrical ball come floating in there, just shooting out electrical. Mary would say, "Oh God, he's here, he's here, he's here." I'd say, "I will take care of him." And I did. It's funny now. I have to laugh because I used to cry. And that's been so long ago, it's funny. If you live long enough, the things you used to do is funny that you got into. And I got 1,000 stories about him, but I won't say any more tonight. I got some preaching to do. This is from Dennis Smith. Dear Jim, please send tapes, give the numbers. Really help me. Thank you. Is there any way I can buy a copy of the map that shows Paul's preaching trips? You can get a copy of Paul's preaching trips by buying a Thompson Chain King James Bible, and it's in the back. His preaching trips, okay? That's the way you can get them. All right, that'll be enough reading. I've got so many, I got stacks of these. Cynthia Jackson, Carolyn Gotcliffe, Michael McMurtry, Rodwell Austin, Carolyn Colligan, Sharon Marshall, Michael Hartzman, Mayhew from Ponchatoula, Louisiana, Philip Williams, Emporia, Kansas, and Carlos de los Santos, Houston. Just get all kinds of things from people. I'll put some of these aside, and then we'll read some more Sunday. Okay. You know what? Everything is ordained by God, including my father, to make me who I am. I really thank God for my father. Now that's when you start thanking God for every negative thing in your life. Right now, while you're going through the negative, you don't think it's good. But it is. I didn't think it was good at all when I was going through it. I thought this is the most, I thought from my years from the time I was born till I was 19 years old, till I was away from him, was the most miserable a boy can possibly be. I was miserable. I hated every minute of my life up to that point. But thank God for it, because it made me a thinker. I examine everything. I don't believe people. Don't believe them because they call themselves, I had to learn it. I didn't believe them because they call themselves Baptist. I don't believe it because they call themselves a predestinationist, a Calvinist. Huh? Yeah. He looks like Daddy, but I look like him too. Now, how me and Dwayne don't look like each other? He looks like times he does that. Yeah, I know it. Yeah, he does. But we don't look like each other.
I came in the first week and she told me that. I said, "This man has been cursed."
No, you've been.
No, you have been cursed.
Oh,
Oh. Like him too.
Yeah.
I could give last.
Yeah. I thank God for my life, for everything I've been through, because it makes me the person I am. It's made me to be compassionate, and when I see people that are poor, I have a compassion for them, because we were very poor. And I don't think we had to be poor. I think Daddy just put everything he had in them little churches. We'd go to a church. We'd go to a church and there'd be 20, 25 people there. And in 2 years, there'd be 15. And all that would be left would be 2 little old ladies and 5 kids and 3 teenagers, or 4, counting me and my brother and sister. And it'd be less than we have on Sunday night sometime. It'd be unbelievable. But that's where it's supposed to be. That's where your life has been what it's been because God ordained it to produce you into what you are today and what you will become. God is ordaining it all the actions of your life, everything. And that's the way it works. Don't forget our needy and our poor. I've been there. We try to look after the needy believers. If you want to help them, you can send a check and put for the needy on the bottom of it, or benevolent fund. It's for their benefit. And we give this money to these needy people. And if you want to send a gift card, pick up a MasterCard or a Visa or a Walmart and whatever you want to give, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, $50, whatever you want to do. That's up between you and God. But we need to help the downtrodden. I have real heart for those people because I have been where I didn't have any food on the table. I've had to go out and look for Coke bottles along the highway to sell them to. Saw some movie the other night. Little kids were collecting Coke bottles, and I started saying to Mary, that was me. I've done that. I needed a loaf of bread. And just help these needy. They need us. And we're going to be giving to them from now on. And remember our picnic. Be sure if you're coming, be sure and call and get a motel reservation, because that time of the year, if you're going to get Relax Inn or one of the inns here in Hendersonville, Hyatt or the Holiday Inn or In-Town Suites, one of those 4, they're building some more out here, but if you're going to get one of those, call now because the motels will be full on the weekend, so you better get your motel soon if you're coming. And you can go to our website, www.graceandtruth.net, and there's a list of motels with the phone numbers that are local here. So do that, okay? Is there something else I'm forgetting? Cell phones. Turn off cell phones. And how you doing? You doing okay? Are you? Good. You working? Not picking up anything yet? Okay. Are you still feeling sick? Okay. Well, call Brent if you don't get something going. He'll have you digging graves. Okay. That's what he does. Well, let's go to the Lord in prayer and pray for me. I need your prayers. John, good to see you. Won't you pray for us?
Father, we just thank you for all things. Thank you for your word for truth. The more you show us, the more you let us see, the more we see just how magnificent you are and how unworthy we are. We just thank you. Beg forgiveness for our sins and crush us from ourselves. Keep us in the narrow way. Thank you for our under shepherds. Give Jim strength in all he does. Continue his message and continue to learn in the word. Strengthen all those in ministry when you find your lack. Pray for all your children all around the world, our friends and brothers around the world, in Israel and in Ecuador. And we ask according to your mercy, you may comfort those who are in need or are sick. We give you praise for all things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. There's been something in the air lately. I've been feeling pretty bad. I felt like I was dying Sunday. I'm feeling better. Which there's a reason I'm feeling better. Must be mold or something. You don't know why I'm feeling better? I put myself on prednisone. That'll make an elephant better. Yes, it will. Prednisone destroys. It's a steroid, and it reduces all inflammation everywhere in your body. But it makes your blood go zzz through your body. You're going. That's what it does to you. It wires you to the hill. I ran across a guy today. I was wearing a shirt that said, Jesus did not die for everybody, and he's down at Best Buy. And he said, what kind of Bible you reading? It's got that out of it on your shirt. And I turned around. He wasn't being confrontational. He said, what kind of Bible is that? I said, that's King James Bible. Really? Can you tell me about it? And I started in telling him all about predestination, election, sovereignty of God. And he said, but what about God's not willing that any should perish? I went in and explained that to him. He said, yeah, I can see that. So he's not willing that his wife, the church, should perish. I said, no, that's what it is. He seemed very, very receptive, as though he'd been hunting for something. And I went into Christmas, and went into the swastika, and went into the wheel of the year, and went into the winter solstice and summer solstice. He said, man, that's really interesting. I gave him a couple of DVDs. He said he's going to come visit us. I don't know if he will or not, but I was really encouraged by his reaction. Sometimes I can tell if they're too excited, like, oh, this is wonderful. Yes, I believe everything you're saying. I don't believe that. I don't believe they're going to come or anything else. But if they'll look at me and go, well, why this and why that? Huh? Yeah. Dwayne does that. But I thought it was very encouraging to me to run across somebody that he wanted to know, what Bible is that Jesus didn't die for everybody? It's out of the King James Bible. Really? He was like, wow. He said he's a Baptist, and I told him the Baptists used to believe what I teach, and I told him I used to be a Baptist, and don't believe them anymore because they've gone the way of the rest of the world. He said, well, I don't call myself a Baptist anymore. He said, I just call myself a Christian. He was very agreeable whenever I'd show him stuff. Not just agreeable, but very inquisitively agreeable. If you know what I'm talking about. Everything was really, what about this? And he knew Bible verses. But I thought it was great. You never know who's going to talk to you. I've worn that shirt out many times. I know people are looking at it. I've got 25, 30 shirts that's got something on them, and I never know which one to wear, but I guess God tells me or something. Put one on. Of course, the front of it said, God does not love everybody. The back says, Jesus did not die for everybody. That's kind of astounds them.